What if I told you that 4,000 years ago, a woman could divorce her husband simply because he was lazy, and the law would be completely on her side? No shame, no scandal, no punishment. She would keep the house, she would keep the money, and she would keep the children. And the man? He would walk away with absolutely nothing. This wasn't a modern country. This wasn't some New Age feminist movement. This was ancient Egypt. For centuries, we've been taught a story of linear progress, a slow, steady march toward equality. But the truth buried in the sands of the Nile tells a different story. In ancient Egypt, marriage wasn't about ownership. It was about partnership. When a couple decided to build a life together, the property they acquired did not automatically belong to the husband. In fact, it was often officially registered under the woman's name. Imagine that for a moment. The house they lived in, legally hers. The plot of land they farmed, hers. The valuable assets they accumulated, all hers. The husband lived there. He worked there. He contributed to the household. But on paper, it was never his to control. This wasn't some informal agreement or a loophole in the system. It was the law meticulously recorded by scribes on papyrus scrolls. These ancient marriage contracts were incredibly detailed legal documents. They clearly stated what each person brought into the marriage and, more importantly, what would happen if the marriage ended. The core principle was this: if the union dissolved, the woman would retain her property and her financial security. It was a prenuptial agreement designed not to protect the wealthy, but to protect the woman. Think about that. While later civilizations would treat women as property themselves, ancient Egypt saw them as legal individuals with inalienable rights to their own wealth. The system was designed from the ground up to ensure a woman was never left destitute, never trapped in a marriage for economic survival. And here's the part that still sends shockwaves through modern historians. The grounds for divorce were shockingly simple and woman-centric. A woman didn't need to prove cruelty or infidelity. There was no stigma against the woman. She wasn't seen as ruthless. She was simply exercising her legal right. In ancient Egypt, a man's status in society wasn't guaranteed by his gender. It was earned through responsibility. A man who couldn't uphold his end of the marital partnership had failed. And the law reflected that. So why did this incredibly progressive system exist so long ago? It stemmed from a core belief in Egyptian society that stability came from balanced households where both partners had defined roles and rights. Women were recognized as full legal persons. They could own land in their own name, sign contracts, initiate lawsuits in court, inherit property from their parents, and, as we've seen, dissolve their own marriages. This wasn't a rebellion. It was just normal life along the Nile. The irony is that as history marched on, things went backward. The Greeks, and later, the Romans, civilizations we often celebrate for their contributions to law and philosophy, systematically stripped women of the very rights the Egyptians had already perfected. Marriage slowly transformed from a partnership back into a system of control. Women lost their property rights and their legal autonomy. This incredible chapter of history, this testament to female agency, faded from memory. As empires rose and fell, the laws of the conquerors overwrote the customs of the conquered. Greek and Roman legal codes, which viewed women as perpetual minors under the authority of a father or husband, spread across the Mediterranean. The knowledge of Egypt's equitable system was buried, not just under sand, but under layers of patriarchal history written by men, for men. And so, today, very few people know that one of the strongest legal safety nets for women ever created existed thousands of years ago, right beside the Nile. It challenges our entire notion of what it means to be advanced or civilized. So, the next time you think about the long, hard-fought battle for women's rights, ask yourself this: if a civilization from 4,000 years ago could protect women so strongly, why did the world forget? What does it say about the story of progress we've been told? And maybe, more importantly, what other incredible truths about our shared past have been quietly buried, just waiting to be rediscovered? Thanks for watching. If this story changed the way you see history, consider subscribing for more forgotten truths.